Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. Welcome back to PM in the AM, a comedy podcast for listeners of all ages, where if you're joining us for the first time, my co-host Porter McNeely and I scour the internet to get all the would you rather questions, crazy stories happening right now. Anything you can find on there, we bring to you in all 30 minutes or less. We do our best to try to fit it within 30 minutes. Porter won't shut up half the time. He's as fluent in Japanese. And so he gets a little carried away. But that being said, we love him. And Porter, how are you doing this week?
You know, I was doing amazing until I just got absolutely slandered. You know, I thought that the intro was going so well. You know, I was going to say, yeah, we try to keep this podcast, you know, bite-sized, just like the Halloween candy that's right around the corner. But then I got absolutely flamed for apparently running my mouth, which potentially I'm doing as I speak. So I'll just say I'm doing great this week, Blake. I do want to make a quick apology. I know I'm a little long-winded right here, but it was my bad not being able to get together last week. I was under the weather. I almost said under the influence.
I was high on drugs.
But that's a good point. Like, why can't you say like I was under the influence of the common cold? I think that's a fair statement.
You absolutely can say that. Just people won't understand that you're talking about the cold because you're going to get halfway through that sentence, and before you can finish of the common cold, they'll just be like, "Oh, well, all right, he was dying." Like he was drinking, he was doing something. So best to say under the weather. Which also, what does that mean? What does it mean to be under the weather?
The only time I've been over the weather is if I was like flying in a plane. You know what I mean? I've never been. I'm over the weather that much.
Weather all the time in the summer. Like I'm over the heat. And towards the end of the winter, I get over the cold. But I guess when you're under it, it's just when it's beating down on you. It's just like...
And it was, dude. Let me tell you, as they say in sports, you know, sometimes you'll see a guy that's like out of a game for what they call flu-like symptoms. I was out of, you know, feeling good for flu-like symptoms under the influence of the common cold. It was a rough week last week, but I'm really glad to be back. And like you mentioned, Blake, this show is going to be excellent today. We have a ridiculous roundup story that is going to be following the Halloween theme as we get excited for the season coming up. And then we have Would You Rather questions, which I have a couple that are Halloween themed and a couple that are not. So, I mean, it should be a good mix in there.
I have none that are Halloween themed.
That's classic Blake. Doesn't even get excited for the holidays. You know, he's just enjoying regular life.
Yeah, listen, I'm not the most like observant person in the world. So even though it is the spooky season, I don't really think about that until somebody else brings it up. So that's 100% on me there. But to be fair, if you wanted Halloween, you should have been like, hey, by the way, make sure you ask, like, would you rather eat a king size or a fun size?
Well, I'm glad you didn't ask that one because that debate would have taken 0.01 seconds. But yeah, so if you're new to the show, like Blake mentioned earlier, don't tune out because you think our Would You Rather questions are going to be that lame. By the time we get to them, I promise they're going to be much more spectacular than that. And we also did want to make an announcement. We have an idea for next week's show. Last year, if you go back into the archives, you can see an episode where Blake and I discussed our best Halloween costumes growing up. If you go over to YouTube, you can even check that out on Instagram. You can actually see those costumes. And we are looking to have listeners submit pictures of them in their best all-time costumes or perhaps the most funny costume you've ever had so we can rank them on the show. You know, we'll keep it lighthearted. We won't go too hard on anybody. It will be great. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting some of those submissions. Should be a really excited episode we have coming up. But yeah, Blake.
If anybody can be my costume of myself as Maleficent, I'll be really impressed. I'm really sad that picture is just out there on the internet now. So you can make it up to me by sending me embarrassing pictures of yourself, and I'll feel better about it.
Yeah, there's no way anybody's topping that. But yeah, speaking of spooky season, Blake, we do have a ridiculous roundup, the segment where we go through the craziest news stories we find online. And this week is kind of themed after Halloween, right?
It is a little bit. And we're going to start off by not Halloween, but just, well, I'm going to skip reading the headline at first. I want to set the scene a little bit. There's just these landscapers, they're out there, they're doing their thing. And of course, like you said, it's Halloween season, so every now and then, there's like things in the way, decorations or whatever, and they don't want to mess with whatever decorations you have, so they'll just go around them. If they're mowing the lawn, they'll just kind of do their best to get around the decorations, and if they're, trimming up the edges, they won't chop up all your cobwebs and whatnot. The problem is that sometimes the Halloween props aren't actually Halloween props, which was the case for our unfortunate friend Robert Owens, who was found laying face down dead, unfortunately, in his yard. And then the landscapers came, took care of the lawn, assuming that he was a Halloween decoration just mowed right around him, and had no idea what it was until later on. They cops came asking, "Hey, did you guys not notice the dead body in the middle of your workday?" Which I feel like if there was a dead guy in the middle of like my shift at work, I'd like to think I would notice. But these guys, they were talk about just wanting to get in and out of the clock, because they were not bothering with anything else.
What I thought of, as you were describing this story, potentially is a little graphic. But thank heavens they did not nick this man with the lawnmower or edger as they were going around.
Can you imagine? They're like, "Oh, we don't want to do him dirty. We'll just get out the little edger here. Just go right along the." And then that first whack of when it hits into the guy's like leg would be, right? Like there's no Halloween decorations that are that impressive to where when you hit them they bleed.
Oh,
do dead bodies bleed?
I don't know, but I know I mean, I don't know about humans. I'm assuming that I've heard, that they stink. I think that would have been the giveaway, is like, okay, this isn't a decoration because it smells like the worst thing that I have ever smelled in my entire life. Those guys were, they were just going. They didn't care what it was. Their job was to finish that lawn, get their $50 paycheck for doing it and get the heck out of there to the next one. They probably knew something was up. They just didn't even care.
I'm assuming this was like, it had to have still been relatively fresh in terms of dead bodies, because it would absolutely stink. It kind of reminds me, do you remember the stories from probably years ago at this point of the Halloween decoration that was like a guy putting up a Christmas decoration of a guy putting up Christmas lights, and he's just like hanging from the roof. It's just like a young guy, and it's like a tipped over ladder next to it. And there were multiple cops that were called on this deck because they thought it was somebody that was like hanging on for dear life. And these guys were like, I'm assuming they got within a foot of this dude.
They got within smelling distance.
And they were like, no, they need the neighbors that were calling for that Christmas decorations. They need the same people to live across the street. So they're like, hey, there's been a guy laying in my neighbor's yard for like 6 hours.
That's unfortunate. What if this guy could have been revived? What if he just like passed out and everybody just thought it was a decoration, so they didn't ever call the cops? Like 4 days later, they realized that it was him and that he died. But man, this guy's life could have potentially been saved if he didn't look like a giant pile of zombie. That's unfortunate.
That's why it didn't stink at the time, I guess. I mean, the math checks out on that one. They do not know what caused the death yet. They're doing an autopsy right now, apparently. But apparently there wasn't any foul play, which is good. Because, if there was a murder scene in front of you and you walked right by it, that would be pretty bad.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, is like, now that you've cleared that up, I think that's an important detail, because I assume everybody else's mind wandered the same way that mine did and was like, was this just the perfect murder plot that they were like, how are we going to get away with this? Oh, we'll just stick him in the front yard, put one of those foam gravestones up behind him that just says RIP on it. And, he's going to be laying there for days. And nobody's going to suspect a thing. I mean, was this just really like 10,000 IQ play?
Was it actually just the landscapers? And that was their alibi for being there at the scene of the crime, was like, hey, whoa, no, I just mowed the lawn.
I know. Hey, look at that cross-cut pattern. This lawn is looking great.
They're like, sir, the cause of death was a weed whacker. So
They get that, they like give them an alibi, and they're like, no, look at my white New Balances. They are completely green. I was mowing this lawn. There's some fresh grass on it.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, unfortunately for that guy, we don't want to make light of a sad situation there, but hopefully they figure out what happened. And if you see any bodies laying in the middle of the street, just because it's Halloween does not mean you can walk on by. At least do a little kick check, See if it's stuffed full of straw.
At this point, what they need to do, Blake, is they need to get the caution tape. They got to leave them out till Halloween, right? This has to become, a spectacle in the neighborhood. They caution tape off the body, and you can go see it. It's like an actual haunted house because there's an actual dead body decomposing in the front yard.
Okay,
is there anything more Halloween than that?
This is a total sidebar right now, but you saying that reminded me of something. My house growing up was right next to a haunted house. Like, this is not a joke. There was a murder in this house years ago, and then nobody in all my time growing up lived there. Like, people were just in and out. They'd move in, and then like 3 weeks later, they'd be gone. Just like it was. And then you'd walk by the house, the decorations inside would never change. Just the same little for sale sign. Like, this thing was Monster House. Like, it was the creepiest place on the planet. I remember I'd be coming home, and I was like even in high school at this point, and I was terrified of this house. I'd be coming home, and then there'd be nobody living there, but the light would randomly like flicker on as I was like pulling in or something. I ran from my car to my house every night when I got home because I parked out back, like not in a garage, like our garage isn't connected, and I parked just like out in the open, and I would run from my car to my house because I did not want to risk being exposed to the nightmares that lied within that house. That being said, recently a family has moved into that house. I do not know if they know about the murders that occurred there. I hope
they're probably finding out at night when their foot's getting dragged on in bed or something.
Yeah,
they're allowed to find out.
They're like, why do our chairs and tables keep stacking up in front of our doorway every night?
Oh my gosh.
No, but I passed by it today, and they are wrapping the house with like the police tape, like the Halloween decoration police tape.
Oh, I was like,
I drove by and I was like, what is the irony of that? I don't think they realize that they are actually crossing off a legitimate murder scene from... Granted, this was in like the 30s or something, but as we all know, all ghosts are old. So I feel for these people because they are about to be extra haunted as that ghost has to relive the nightmares of the police tape from the night they were murdered. So
that's about to be like a Netflix original, and you're going to have a front row seat for it. So buckle up because those people decorating it spooky, I feel like they're only going to aggravate the ghost a little bit more. That ghosts don't find decorations funny, I don't think.
Especially not when it's like joking about their murder. I think that's a pretty big no-no on ghost terms. So I'll let you know if I see some actual police tape alongside there saying that, oh, hey, there were more murders here.
How would that work? They just put actual police tape around the fake police tape? That's going to be so confusing.
Or maybe they just get Sharpie and just write like, this is real police.
This is not from Amazon.com police tape.
Yeah.
Well, thoughts to that family. I mean, I hope they make it through this Halloween season okay, Hopefully
I hope they don't listen to this podcast.
Happens. I mean, yeah, I think there's probably like a 0.000 repeating, maybe a 1 at the end of that chance that they would. But yeah, hopefully they don't. But we will be right back with some Would You Rather questions. Don't go anywhere. And we are back. Let's get into some Would You Rather questions. This week, Blake, I got some doozies for you. So I'll go ahead and go first. I'm going to save the Halloween ones for last. So I'm going to get into this one that I thought of as I picked up a new commute for a new job. So I spend a lot more time sitting in traffic on the freeway. And I had some time to think about this one the other day. And I got to get your opinion on it. So would you rather ride in the back of a semi-truck that's carrying cattle across the country, or ride in the back of a garbage truck across your city to the dump, where you get dumped into the giant pile of trash at the end, and you must stay in that pile of trash for the next 6 hours?
Oh, man. Here's the thing. Across the country with the cattle is going to be the issue. Because, I mean, I'm assuming I get food and stuff. I'm not going to have to, like, slaughter a cow in the back and try to cook it up, right?
You get the same food and water that they get.
That the cows get?
Yes.
Oh, dude. I mean, here's the thing. I was already leaning the trash way. Because across the country, how long does it take to drive across the country? That's a good,
Probably like a couple days straight.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's a good few days if you're just driving straight. There's a 0% chance I may get out on the other side. Meanwhile, the trash, if it has to go across the city, at most, that's what, like a 30-minute drive?
Yeah.
And then I lay in there for 6 hours. But after that 30 minutes, I think my nose is like totally blind to the smell. And as long as I don't get crushed by trash as I get dumped out of the back of this thing, I think I'll be all right. And half the time, it kind of sounds fun to, get dumped out. It's like a slide of garbage. I can get behind that.
Have you ever been outside when the garbage man drives past and just like caught a faint whiff of it before?
Oh, dude, I've lifted up the lid to my own garbage can and almost yacked. Like I don't know what I put into my garbage, but it gets ripe. Like we cook with way too many onions and then just like throw out a little bit or something because it smells like something crawled up and died in there. So can I get into the recycling can? Is that
no? You're not going with cardboard and plastic. That is definitely a no. You have to get in, like, you're never going to recover. I don't care how many times you shower. Like, if a garbage truck touches one can of garbage, I'm convinced it smells like absolute booty hole for the rest of eternity.
Well,
and then think about it. It does that for every single day for like 100 years straight.
Well,
That's disgusting.
What's the thing that happens when you get sprayed by a skunk? You're supposed to take a bath in tomato juice?
That's definitely made up.
No, like that's a thing. I don't know if it's real, but people say that.
No, I think that's the same as when you put peanut butter to get gum out of your hair or lice or something. I think those are all just made up. I think somebody just was like, I'm going to make a blog about the most...
juice.
Oh, yeah.
Big Tomato Juice was like, our sales are down. How do we do it? And they just like released a whole bunch of skunks and we're like, guys, we can help you.
Yeah, people are buying an industrial vat of tomato sauce.
That actually isn't half wrong. I mean... So it is incorrect. You're right there. But it started with some cartoon. It was a character that whenever they were sprayed by a character called Smelly Skunk, they were forced to take a bath in a tomato sauce. This is from like a comic or a cartoon from old times or something.
So you're saying I was like half correct?
Yeah, so apparently it just is supposed to overpower the smell of whatever with tomato juice was
That's a terrible idea. That's like the most mild smell.
Dude, I don't know.
If you're going to overpower it,
it probably eats away at the stank.
You have to go to a campfire for 45 days straight. That's the only way that it's going to overpower a smell.
Yeah, well...
Or go to an air freshener factory and just be put in the blast zone.
Or hang out in the junior high locker room.
The Axe ball, dude.
You're going to walk out smelling like Axe, but at least it won't be garbage. So I don't know what's worse, but...
Nothing crazier than you wrap up your gym class, you just played basketball, and then every guy just... whole can of Axe, dude. Just like a complete soaking of the body.
We almost certainly have some sort of like lung condition from all the Axe body spray that we inhaled. I mean, you need a gas mask to walk around in those things. I have no idea how we are still standing up right at this point. So
your eyes would start burning.
Yeah.
And it was the chocolate Axe too, the worst of all time.
Oh, it was always the chocolate Axe.
And the chocolate Garb kids were the absolute worst.
We're ruining any chance we have at getting sponsored by Axe, but I'm ahead at that. Like, Axe is just not very... Are they still around? Are they still
I don't think it's prominent.
Smell?
I think now that we're out of junior high and our age group of kids moved out of junior high and realized, I don't want to smell like
chemicals?
Chocolate. Yeah, like it didn't smell like chocolate. It was like masculine chocolate smell. Like that was the worst idea of all time.
Yeah, I mean, they sold a bunch on it though. So I bet there's still some like 25-year-olds that are out there just dousing themselves in chocolate Axe body spray.
All right, so here's the actual question for you. Would you rather sit in your own trash can full of trash for 10 minutes or be doused by an entire can of chocolate Axe? I mean, it's like a 10-minute hot tub in your trash can.
Dude, I think you're really underestimating just how bad my garbage can smells. That being said, I will be taking the garbage. I think it'll be easier to explain Like, if somebody smells me and I smell like garbage, they're like, oh, man, he must have been working hard. If I smell like chocolate Axe body spray, it's like, that guy is still going through puberty. Like, what's going on? He has a full beard?
I bet they only sell that stuff on eBay now.
Yeah, it's just all secondhand.
You got to get it up.
All right.
That's crazy.
I'll give you one here. Would you rather be trapped in a cage with a tame tiger or be trapped with a rabid squirrel?
That's the easiest question I've heard all day, and I've had quite a few questions.
Don't underestimate rabies or tigers. I don't know which one you're underestimating.
We talked about the alligator that attended a baseball game, and I said, I don't care that it's a docile alligator. I don't want to be around any predators. Let me stomp that squirrel into the ground. Okay, I mean, you did choose the one disease that for some reason I'm absolutely terrified of. Yeah. Rabies is terrifying. The fact that you just get bit and then all of a sudden you just have a lockjaw, foam at the mouth, and die, and you don't even know you had it. That's terrifying.
That's the thing that's scary about rabies is that you don't know you have it until you're basically dead. Like
it's the point of no return.
I guess the only good thing about this is that you're trapped in a cage with the squirrel, and so it's be like, oh, it bit me. I know I need to go.
Yeah, true.
The bad news is if you don't get out of the cage in time, you're just dead. I don't know how long rabies takes to like kick in, but if you're in there for a while, then it might be all over.
No, I'm stomping the squirrel. You talked me back into it with the fact that I can, I will know I have rabies so I can get the shot. I believe, and this could be, the farmer's tale or whatever you call that. I believe that's a shot straight through the sternum, if I am not mistaken.
That's enough to make me want to take a tiger, man. Dude, here's the thing.
If it's Tony the Tiger, I'm in.
Here's my thought process. Is that if there's a chance I'm dead either way, right? Like, let's say I can't get out of the cage in time. I'm in there for a month or however long rabies takes. I would rather say I got killed by a tiger than I got killed by a squirrel.
Than one of the worst diseases?
No, you would say death by squirrel. Like, your tombstone would not say, died of rabies is also not a good thing to say on your tombstone, but death by squirrel is not nearly as cool as mauled by tiger. Like people be walking by and see my tombstone and be like, that guy knew how to live.
I'm trying to think. I wonder if more people die from... more people have to die from rabies. I think
from rabies than tigers?
That's a have to. I really hope nobody dies from rabies from now going forward. I hope that's something, we can exterminate from our civilization. But sadly, I think... that is good logic. You don't want to go out to the terrible disease.
I want you to just guess. Just throw out a number on how many people you think die from rabies each year.
This is probably a lot.
This is from the CDC website.
I'll say 5,000 people die from rabies each year.
It's a lot more. In fact, it's 59,000 people.
Oh, man.
Every year. Worldwide, but 59,000 people die from rabies every year, and only 40 to 50 are killed by tigers. So, wow. you're just another statistic if you take the squirrel with rabies. Me, I'm one of 50 in the world.
I think the tiger is probably a quicker death too. In that, you don't want to be going. I think rabies is painful from my.
I think from my experience, anything that involves foaming at the mouth is usually.
So you're saying you've done that before?
Bad. Yeah,
that's usually just foam at the mouth when it's snack time.
And when I get hungry, man, I've been known to. Thanksgiving Eve is my favorite holiday.
It's just foaming, but it's not.
I have to wear a bib at Thanksgiving, not because I spill my food, but it's just copious amounts of foam coming out.
That's disgusting. Well, we'll have to get you checked for rabies this year. Maybe get you a nice little shot just in case. All right, that was a really good question. That was some interesting discussion. Now I'm gonna turn things into a little Halloween one here. So, would you rather smash a pumpkin that a little kid has just carved right in front of their face, or go trick-or-treating as an adult and pretend like there's nothing wrong with it?
Oh, dude, I'm going trick-or-treating. Look, I don't want to crush a little kid's dreams, man. He might hate Halloween forever because of that. That dude slaved out on making the crappiest looking jack-o'-lantern on it, and I'm not smashing it. I have a soul. What I am absolutely doing is going and getting just buckets of candy. Because here's the difference. when I'm a kid, I was stupid. I didn't know how to organize my night. I didn't know what neighborhoods to go hit. You think you do when you're a kid, but now that you're an adult, you're looking back, you're like, man, I did not maximize my profits on Halloween. I could break a record for the amount of candy that I could pull in, assuming that
You're driving. Are you driving your car?
Well, yeah, I have to get to the neighborhood. And if you're going house to house in the car, no, that's not good.
Oh, okay.
What you do is you just leave your car in drive and just let it kind of coast down the street. And so that you pull up to the street, you hop out, and then you're just hitting houses along the way. And then by the time you get to the last house, your car's pulling up alongside you.
And 15 kids have been hit by a loose car.
Yeah, but look, if they can't get out of the way of a slow-moving vehicle, that's pretty much just on them. And then you turn it around, hit the houses on the way back. Dude, I mean, I'm telling you, I could really... And I'm just putting the candy straight into the trunk because it's going to be way too much to carry. There will be no baskets for me.
That's bold of you to assume that anybody is going to give you candy. I think people generally are going to give you a hard time because, I may have gone trick-or-treating when I was in 8th or 9th grade, and I started to get some indirect comments thrown at me, and I think that was the last time because of that. And so I don't think an adult could do that so easily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, though. If you had somebody come knock on your door, they didn't have a kid, it was just a grown adult in a costume, and they said trick or treat, would you not give them candy?
You just instantly punch them right in the face.
No, you would give a weird look for sure. You'd be like, why is this grown man on my doorstep? But I'd give him candy. Like, he's doing the same thing as everybody else. If you need to, you could hire a small child to come with you and just be the face. And then you can stay in the car. Bro, I'm telling you, I could maximize. I'd be telling him to, I'd get a coach whistle. I'd dress up as a coach, obviously. I'd be like, go faster. Go.
That's horrible.
I would be, dude, they would be upset until they get home and they see an absolute trunk full of candy.
Of Almond Joys and Whoppers.
No, we're hitting the good places, dude.
Pixie Sticks.
If they're handing out Tootsie Rolls, I just throw it back at them. I don't even keep it.
That could be the move. But I gotta say, I set you up there as a little quiz, and you did take the right answer. And I have to say, because part one actually didn't happen in that specific way to me as a little kid, but we did, we went to the pumpkin patch as a family. We went on a hayride. We picked out our pumpkins, and I found the perfect pumpkin. This thing was round. This thing had a nice stem that you could pick it up by, perfectly orange. It was just a great looking pumpkin. Needless to say, we had some horrible teenage neighbors, and they would go around in the middle of the night and they'd throw the pumpkins off people's porches into the road and just shatter them, and it just wreck them right in front of our house. And so they did that to us one year, and I don't think I have ever been as sad in my life as when I woke up that morning, went outside to get my pumpkin for Halloween, and found it just absolutely slaughtered in the road. That was probably the meanest thing that anybody has ever done to me. And so, I think you went with the right decision there. After that, we would always we'd put our pumpkins out during the day, and then at night we'd bring them in and put them in the garage because we were absolutely terrified of these neighbors.
Actually traumatized you guys.
Straight up.
I never did that kind of hoodlum behavior as a kid. I did, however, on Christmas once, move somebody's snowman that they had built across the street to their neighbor's house, so that when they opened the door and looked outside, it just looked like their neighbors had taken their snowman, which I was a big fan of that. So if you want to do that, just swap the pumpkins of all the neighbors in the thing, and then you walk outside and you're like, where did this pumpkin come from, and where's my pumpkin? And you look across the street and your pumpkin's sitting on their doorstep, and your sisters are sitting on the other neighbors. Now that would be approved behavior by me. I can get behind that.
Well, think about this. Instead of pumpkins, you do doormats.
Oh.
So you just switch out all the doormats in the entire neighborhood? That'd be sweet. I wish I was still in high school. I would have totally done that prank. You would have had people upset.
I'm going to have to get my brother-in-law, who's still in high school. I'm going to have to give him some ideas on...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is comedy gold right here.
Brainstorming excellence right now. That's a good idea.
That's fantastic. Boy, did you have another Halloween would you rather?
Yeah. Let me hit you with another. Let me hit you with another Halloween. We'll finish on this one. Would you rather warn every kid that comes trick-or-treating to your house about the dangerous razor blades that they could be finding in their Halloween candy, or hand out toothbrushes and apples to everybody and warn them about the dangers of diabetes and obesity?
Dude, both of these are awful. Here's the thing, too, though. If you are warning them about, like, you're putting candy in their bags and you're like, watch out for razor blades in your candy, kids, you are 100%.
Straight to jail.
You're that guy putting razor blades in the candy. Like, that's creepy. I would immediately pick out, I don't care if it's a Snickers, a Reese's. I'm like, you know what? I can't trust that. That guy just said there's razor blades in this. I'd be getting rid of it as soon as possible. And also, for all that talk growing up, not once did I ever see any issues in my candy. So I think that's just like fear-mongering by parents to like, all right, kids, we got to head out of here before you get stabbed or whatever. I don't think that's real. On the other hand, I'm not a dentist, and I don't want to be a total buzzkill by handing out, what did you say, toothbrush and toothpaste?
And apples.
An apple. Like, what am I going to do with an apple? Really? That's garbage. That being said, I guess I'll have to be the creepy guy. At least I'm still giving candy. Like, I'm still doing my... Halloween, adults, you have one job. If you have a house, you got one job, and it's to hand out candy. If you are taking that time to try and teach kids about dental care, you are grossly, like, misunderstanding Halloween. All right? This is about candy. This is about good times. This is not about brushing my teeth. I do that every night. I have my own parents, all right? You don't need to do that.
I think everybody had one of those houses in their neighborhood, though. We all knew. Yeah. I mean, in my neighborhood, at least this dentist had the wherewithal to, you know, they're going to give you the toothbrush with the little flyer that's like, come bring your business to us. But they also gave out candy because they were smart enough to know that cavities means business. Mm-hmm. And so you give them the flyer, you give them the cavities, boom, extra business.
Yeah, that is an excellent point you're making, is that by handing out toothbrushes and toothpaste, they were literally taking away a good chance at business for them. These dentists are awful businessmen.
Well, they knew that the rest of the neighborhood was going to be doing irreputable...
No, I mean, I'd be handing out pure... What's the most sugar? Like Pixie Sticks or Fun Dip? You eat sugar on a sugar stick. Like, that's got to be...
Make sure to get this stuck between your teeth and don't ever floss.
Like, rub it in there, kids.
Come see me in a couple days. Yeah. We'll get you some gold crowns on the back there. You'll be looking real fly.
Yeah, I would be giving them, like, extra candy. Like, if I saw a kid and I was like, oh, yeah, I bet his parents can afford to do a whole bunch of dental work. I'd be dumping the bucket in there a little more and be like, eat up, son.
Yeah, these kids got yellow teeth. Perfect. Next victim. That's true. I mean, dentists probably just feel really out of place on Halloween. I've heard of the buyback program. Well, they'll like buy your candy from you. You bring in like 5 pounds of candy and they give you like $1. Like, I never understood why kids would do that.
I don't understand why a dentist would do that. They're taking away from their business.
Well,
and losing money.
It's a scam promotion. You know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to get you to go into their office and be like, oh, dang, they got TVs in the ceiling at this place. You know, I could watch some cartoons. Yeah, exactly. They got an Xbox in the waiting room. Mom, I want to come here. You know, that's what they're doing. Then they give you a $5 bill for your hard-earned night's worth of candy. And I guess they burn it. I don't know. They probably just eat it themselves. No idea.
The dentist is in the back just like chowing down. He's like, oh, man, these kids are just bringing me Almond Joys. What the...
It's like, I'm so disappointed in you guys. Where the heck did you go trick-or-treating? But yeah, I mean, I think that, about wraps up a pretty good episode. I think we covered a lot. Like I said earlier, we do want you guys to send us your Halloween costumes, your funniest or best Halloween costumes. We're going to be doing a segment where we're breaking them down, talking about them. So make sure you do that. You can DM it to us on Instagram at PM in the AM Podcast. We'd love to see it there. Or email at pmintheampodcast.info@gmail.com. Whatever floats your boat, whatever tickles your fancy. Send those in to us, and should be a great episode coming up next week. Blake, you got anything for the listeners on the way out today?
No, I do not. Just remember to send us your Halloween costumes, because I am looking forward to embarrassing you and not me. Much appreciated.
Blake's will definitely be making a comeback. I will definitely include that in the slideshow. So yeah, make sure you watch the video episode next week, I guess is what I'm trying to say, over on YouTube at PM in the AM podcast as well.
Good plug.
So I think that about wraps it up for us this week, Blake. So we'll catch you guys next week.
Peace out.